3 days had passed since the Krythax surrender. The Council was still celebrating their unexpected victory when the first investigation team returned from one of the Silent Worlds. What they reported made everyone stop celebrating. The team had found empty cities. Not destroyed, not damaged, just empty. Buildings stood intact. Power systems still functioned. Vehicles sat in streets as if their drivers had simply vanished mid-journey. Food was still on tables in homes, but every living being was gone. 17 billion people had disappeared without a trace. Dr. Su-Jin Lee arrived at the council chamber carrying several data tablets. She was a human xenoarchaeologist, someone who studied ancient alien civilizations. She was thin and energetic, with glasses that she constantly adjusted when she was nervous. Right now, she looked very nervous. Ambassador Hana Ro had requested her presence specifically. Dr. Lee had been studying ruins across the galaxy for years. If anyone could explain the mysterious message about architects, it would be her. The council gathered in emergency session. Dr. Lee stood before them, her hands shaking slightly as she prepared her presentation. The holographic display activated, showing images of ancient structures from dozens of different worlds. I have been researching archaeological sites for the past 5 years, Dr. Lee began. Her voice grew stronger as she spoke. What I found was a pattern. Every 50,000 years there is a mass extinction event. Not natural disasters, not wars, something else. Something that removes all advanced civilizations from the galaxy. Counselor Vrex leaned forward. You are saying this has happened before? Multiple times, Dr. Lee confirmed. I have found evidence of at least 6 previous cycles. Each time, civilizations reach a certain level of technology, and then they disappear. The ruins I study are what remains. But here is what is important. Some civilizations left warnings, messages carved in stone and coded in mathematics, preserved in ways that would last. She changed the display to show ancient writing from different species. They all looked different, but Dr. Lee had translated them. They all said similar things. Beware the architects. They come when civilizations grow too advanced. They reset the galaxy. Those who remain will start again from the beginning. The chamber erupted in voices. Some species refused to believe it. Others demanded more proof. The council speaker raised his hands for silence. He looked at Dr. Lee with serious eyes. Do you have evidence that this extinction event is beginning now? Dr. Lee nodded. The 17 worlds that went silent are just the beginning. I have been monitoring deep space signals. I am detecting anomalies, strange patterns in quantum fields, dark matter distributions that should not exist. Based on my calculations, the cycle is starting early. We have less time than previous civilizations did. How much time? Hana asked quietly. Dr. Lee adjusted her glasses nervously. Based on current acceleration rates? 3 months. Maybe 4. Then the architects will have full control, and the purge will be complete. Silence fell over the chamber. 3 months. That was barely enough time to evacuate a single planet, let alone an entire galaxy of civilizations. The weight of this information pressed down on everyone present. Intelligence Officer Do-Hyun Choi stepped forward. He was a quiet man who worked in Earth's intelligence division. Few people knew his name, but his work had been crucial in planning the Krythax operation. He carried a single data chip. There is more, Choi said. His voice was calm but serious. Earth Command has known about the architects for 18 months. We discovered the first evidence during deep space surveys. We did not bring it to the Council because we needed to verify the information. We also needed to develop potential countermeasures. Counselor Vrex stood up angrily. You knew about this threat and said nothing? You let us waste time fighting the Krythax while extinction approached? Hana stood to defend her colleague. We needed proof before causing galactic panic. And the Krythax War was not a waste of time. It was necessary. Let Officer Choi explain. Choi activated his data chip. The holographic display changed to show Krythax territory. The Krythax Empire has been expanding aggressively for centuries. Most species believed they were simple conquerors. But Earth intelligence discovered the truth. The Krythax were searching for something, ancient technology. Specifically, they were looking for architect artifacts. The Krythax Emperor knew, someone asked. Not the full truth, Choi replied. But Krythax legends speak of ancient machines that controlled the galaxy. They believed finding these machines would give them ultimate power. They did not realize the machines were designed to destroy civilizations, not empower them. So when Earth captured their homeworld, Hana continued. We also captured their research. Years of exploration data, archaeological findings, technology samples. That was the real prize. The Emperor was secondary. Understanding spread through the chamber. The human operation had never been just about stopping a war. It was about gaining access to information that could save the galaxy. The vanishing fleet had served multiple purposes. Admiral Taeyang Kim joined the meeting via transmission from the Krithax homeworld. He appeared on the main display, standing beside the Krithax Emperor. The Emperor looked different now. Less angry, more thoughtful. We have been discussing the situation, Kim said. The Emperor has agreed to share all Krithax research on the architects. In exchange, Earth will help develop a defense strategy. We are proposing a joint operation involving all Council species plus the Krithax. The Krithax Emperor spoke through a translator. My people sought power. We found warnings instead. For generations, we ignored those warnings. We thought we could control what we found. We were wrong. But we did learn things. We know where the architects operate from. We know some of their weaknesses. This knowledge is now yours. Dr. Lee pulled up new data on the display. With the Krithax information added to our own research, I can now create a rough map of architect activity. They operate from a central hub, a massive structure built by the first civilization in this galaxy, 3 billion years ago. Every 50,000 years, this structure activates and sends out machines to purge advanced life. Can we destroy it? Rex asked. We do not know, Dr. Lee admitted. The structure is enormous. It spans an entire solar system. It has defenses that have stopped every civilization that tried to approach it. But we have one advantage. The architects are machines. They follow programming. If we can reach their central computer, we might be able to change that programming. Hana stood and addressed the council. Earth proposes we form a united fleet, not to fight a defensive battle like we did with the Krithax, but to attack, to go directly to the source, to end this threat permanently. The council speaker considered this. You are suggesting we attack a structure that has defeated countless civilizations over billions of years, with only 3 months to prepare. Yes, Hana said firmly, because the alternative is extinction. Every species here has 2 choices. Run and hide, hoping the architects miss you, or fight back. Humanity chooses to fight. We always do. Counselor Vrex was quiet for a long moment. Then he stood and bowed toward Hana, a formal gesture of respect among his people. The Thraxian Empire will join this mission. If humans can capture a hostile empire in one night, perhaps they can do the impossible again. We will trust in your strategies. One by one, other species agreed. Some were enthusiastic. Others were reluctant but saw no better option. By the end of the session, every council member had committed ships and resources to the mission. Even the Krithax pledged their remaining military forces. For the first time in recorded history, the entire galaxy was united under a single purpose. Not to fight each other, but to fight for survival against an enemy that had controlled their fate for eons. Captain Minho Park was working late in his quarters on the Indomitable. He was reviewing sensor data, looking for patterns. Something had been bothering him. The 17 worlds that went silent had disappeared in a specific order. Not random. There was a pattern. He plotted their locations on a star map. Then he added data about their technology levels, population sizes, and energy signatures. His computer began running calculations. The answer it produced made his blood run cold. Park immediately opened a priority channel to Admiral Kim. The Admiral answered quickly, noting the urgency in Park's expression. What did you find, Captain? The architects are not randomly selecting targets, Park said. They are working systematically. They are eliminating civilizations based on their ability to resist. The most advanced, most militarized species are being removed first. Sir, I ran projections. Earth is on the list. We are target number 23. When? Kim asked immediately. If the pattern continues at current speed, 72 hours. They know we are a threat. They are coming for us specifically. Kim closed his eyes briefly. Then he opened them with determination. Alert all Earth Defense Forces. Full mobilization. And get me a secure line to the Council immediately. We do not have 3 months anymore. We have 3 days. Our mission timeline just accelerated. Park nodded and began sending the emergency orders. In 72 hours, the architects would arrive at Earth. The clock was ticking. And the galaxy's last hope depended on a plan that seemed impossible even by human standards. The tear in space grew larger. Energy crackled around its edges like lightning. The Krythax fleet stopped firing at the Council ships. Their sensors had detected the anomaly too. Both sides waited in tense silence. Something was coming through and nobody knew what it was. Then ships began to emerge. Warships. Hundreds of them. They poured through the opening in space like water through a broken dam. But something was wrong. The Council fleet stared in confusion at their displays. These ships were painted in Krythax colors. Red and black hulls with the sharp angular designs typical of Krythax military vessels. Their identification signals claimed they were part of the Dominion fleet. The Krythax commander was equally confused. He had not requested reinforcements, and these ships were appearing behind his formation, not in front. He tried to open communication channels with the new arrivals. No response. The strange fleet maintained complete silence. 300 ships finished their emergence from hyperspace. They formed attack patterns, and then without warning they opened fire on the Krythax fleet. The attack was devastating. Krythax ships exploded under the surprise assault. Their shields had been facing forward toward the Council fleet. Their rear defenses were weak. The mysterious fleet moved with precision and speed. They were not fighting like Krythax warriors. Their tactics were different, strange. They hit multiple targets simultaneously. They used flanking maneuvers that no Krythax commander would ever attempt. Chaos spread through the Dominion armada. On the Council command ship, the Valkyrian admiral was shouting orders at his tactical officer. "Identify those ships. Are they Krythax rebels? A third faction?" The tactical officer was frantically working his console. "Sir, I'm scanning their energy signatures. They are not Krythax power systems. They are using fusion drives with quantum stabilizers. That is human technology." The admiral froze. "Human? But those ships are painted like Krythax vessels." "It is a disguise, sir. Those are Earth warships. All 300 of them." Before the admiral could process this information, a transmission came through on all Council channels. The face that appeared on every screen was Admiral Taeyang Kim. He was standing on a bridge, but it was not the bridge of the Indomitable. Behind him, through the windows, a massive city could be seen. A city under a red sky. "Greetings from the Krythax homeworld," Kim said calmly. His voice was steady and professional. "I am transmitting from the Imperial Palace. The Emperor and his government are now under Earth custody. The throne world is secure." Silence fell across all communication channels. Every species in the Council fleet was trying to understand what they had just heard. The humans had captured the Krythax capital? When? How? Kim continued speaking. While the Krythax gathered their fleet for invasion, we sent our ships deep into their territory. We painted them to look like Dominion vessels. We used captured identification codes. For the past 3 weeks, we have been infiltrating their supply lines and mapping their defenses. When we disappeared from the Nexus Gate, we jumped directly to their home system. Captain Minho Park appeared beside Kim in the transmission. He held a datapad and spoke in a clear voice. The Krythax defense fleet was minimal. Most of their military assets were committed to the invasion force. We encountered resistance, but we overwhelmed them quickly. Total human casualties, 43 personnel. Krythax military casualties, approximately 2,000. Civilian casualties, 0. We specifically avoided populated areas. Kim raised his hand and a new image appeared on all screens. It showed the Krythax Emperor, a large being covered in black scales with fierce red eyes. He was sitting in a simple chair surrounded by human guards. He looked angry but unharmed. "I am now going to make an offer to the Krythax forces at the Nexus Gate," Kim said. "You have 2 choices. First choice, continue fighting and watch your homeworld face consequences. Second choice, surrender immediately, and we will negotiate peace terms that preserve your honor and your people." The transmission shifted to show the Krythax Emperor. A human translator stood beside him. The Emperor spoke in his own language, his voice deep and rumbling. The translator converted his words. "My people, this war is over. These humans have defeated us through cunning, not cruelty. They have shown restraint when they could have shown destruction. I order all Dominion forces to cease hostilities immediately. That is my command as your Emperor." At the Nexus Gate, the Krythax commander received the transmission. He stared at the image of his Emperor for a long moment. His tactical officers waited for orders. Finally, the commander made his decision. He broadcast to the entire Dominion fleet, "All ships, stand down. Lower your weapons. The Emperor has spoken. The war is over." The Krythax warship stopped firing. Their weapon systems powered down. The massive armada that had seemed unstoppable just minutes ago was now drifting in space, harmless and defeated. Not a single additional council ship had been destroyed. The battle was over without the expected bloodshed. Back at the council chamber on Valara Prime, Ambassador Hana Ro watched the transmission with carefully controlled emotions. Around her, the representatives of 47 species sat in absolute silence. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. They were all trying to process what had just happened. Finally, Councillor Vrek stood up slowly. His blue face had lost some of its color. He looked at Hana for a long moment. Then he spoke, and his voice was very different from before. It was quieter, almost respectful. Ambassador Ro, he said carefully. When your fleet disappeared, I called your people cowards. I said you had abandoned us. I was wrong. I spoke without understanding. On behalf of the Thraxian Empire, I apologize. Hana bowed her head slightly. She accepted the apology with grace, though inside she felt relief. The plan had worked. Earth's reputation was not destroyed. It was transformed. Councillor Vrek, she said, humanity understands that trust must be earned. We hope our actions have demonstrated our commitment to the Council and to peace. The Council speaker stood and raised one of his forearms. The humans have ended a war that would have cost millions of lives. They did this through strategy rather than slaughter. This is a new way of thinking about military problems. Perhaps we all have something to learn from Earth. Other representatives began to speak. Some praised the human victory. Others asked questions about how such an operation was planned and executed. A few species seemed nervous. If humans could infiltrate the Krythax so completely, could they do the same to other civilizations? That question was left unspoken, but everyone thought it. Hana addressed the council. Earth did not undertake this mission for glory or to demonstrate power. We did it because we calculated it was the best way to minimize casualties on all sides. Defensive battles at the Nexus Gate would have killed hundreds of thousands. Our way ended the conflict with minimal loss of life. That should always be the goal. The meeting continued for hours. Details were discussed. Questions were answered. Plans were made for peace negotiations with the Krythax. Throughout it all, Hana maintained her diplomatic composure. But she was tired. Very tired. The stress of keeping the secret had been enormous. Finally, the session ended. Hana returned to her quarters and opened a private channel to Admiral Kim. He appeared on her screen, still on the Krythax homeworld. He looked exhausted but satisfied. Well done, Admiral, Hana said. The council is stunned but impressed. You have changed how they see humanity. Kim smiled slightly. The hard part is just beginning. We need to establish a stable peace. The Krythax are proud people. They will not forgive this defeat easily. We must be careful, I understand, Hana replied. What will you do with the Emperor? That depends on him, Kim said. Captain Park is arranging a meeting. We have a proposal to make. Something that might turn an enemy into an ally. Before Hana could ask what he meant, another voice interrupted. It was a priority alert from Earth Command. She quickly opened the channel. A serious-looking officer appeared on a second screen. Ambassador Ro, Admiral Kim, the officer said urgently. We have a developing situation. Our deep space monitoring stations have detected unusual signals. Multiple council member worlds have gone silent over the past week. No communications. No ship traffic, nothing. Kim frowned. How many worlds? 17 so far, the officer replied. All of them were advanced civilizations. High technology levels. Large populations. And they all went dark within days of each other. Have we sent investigation teams? Hana asked. The Council has dispatched scout ships, but none have reported back yet. Earth Command wants you both to be aware. There is something else. The few automated messages we received from these worlds before they went silent all contained similar phrases. We are still translating, but the words keep appearing. They have returned. The architects are coming. Kim and Hana exchanged looks through their screens. Neither of them spoke for a moment. Finally, Kim asked the question they were both thinking. What architects? What does that mean? We do not know, Admiral, the officer said, but Earth Command is treating this as a priority threat. Whatever caused 17 civilizations to go silent is more dangerous than the Krythax ever were. We need to find answers quickly. The transmission ended. Hana sat in silence, processing this new information. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council was buzzing with nervous energy. Representatives from 47 different alien species filled the massive hall on Valara Prime. a neutral world chosen specifically for important meetings. The air felt heavy with worry. Everyone knew why they were there. War was coming. Ambassador Hana Rose stood quietly in the human section. She was a tall woman with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple style. She wore the blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. Around her, aliens of all shapes and sizes whispered to each other. Some had scales, some had fur, others were made of energy that glowed softly in the dim light. But all of them looked scared. A holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed a star map. Red markers indicated the Krythax Dominion, an empire that had been conquering worlds for centuries. The red zone was growing larger every day. Blue markers showed the Council territories. Between them was a single point labeled Nexus Gate. That narrow passage was the only route between the two regions of space. The Council speaker, a tall being with 4 arms and glowing purple skin, raised one hand for silence. The chamber went quiet immediately. His voice echoed through the hall when he spoke. Every species had translation devices that turned his words into their own languages. The Krythax are coming, he said. Our intelligence confirms they have gathered their entire armada. Over 10,000 warships. They plan to invade Council space within the next 2 days. We must form a defensive line at the Nexus Gate. Every member species is required to send their military forces immediately. Hana listened carefully. She had already received word from Earth Command. The human fleet was ready. Admiral Taeyang Kim had assembled 300 warships at the staging area. It was not the largest contribution, but it was significant. Humans were still relatively new to the galactic community. They had only joined 3 years ago. Many species still did not trust them. Counselor Vrek spoke up from his platform. He was a Thraxian, a species known for their pride and military tradition. His blue skin was marked with silver patterns that showed his rank. His voice was cold and sharp. He looked directly at Hana when he spoke. Can we trust the humans? Rex asked loudly. They are warriors, yes, but they are unpredictable. They fight with strange tactics. They do not follow proper military protocol. How do we know they will not abandon us when the battle becomes difficult? Hana felt anger flash through her, but she kept her face calm. She had dealt with Rex many times before. He always questioned human intentions. She stood and bowed slightly, showing respect even though she did not feel it. Earth stands with the Council, she said clearly. Admiral Kim and our fleet are already in position. We will fight alongside you. We honor our commitments. Rex made a sound that might have been a laugh. Time will tell, he said. Time will tell. The meeting continued for another hour. Strategy was discussed. Supply lines were arranged. Medical ships were positioned. Finally, the order was given. All fleets were to jump to the Nexus Gate immediately. The defensive line would be formed within 6 hours. Hana returned to her quarters and opened a secure communication channel to Admiral Kim. His face appeared on her screen. He was a man in his 50s with gray hair and tired eyes, but those eyes were sharp and focused. He had fought in many battles before joining the space fleet. He was known for thinking differently than other commanders. Ambassador, Kim said with a slight smile. I assume the Council is nervous? Vrex thinks we will run away, Hana replied. He said it in front of everyone. Kim nodded slowly. Let him think that. It might be useful. Are we cleared to proceed with the plan? Hana hesitated. The plan was risky. Very risky. If it failed, Earth would be blamed for everything. But if it worked, the war could end quickly with minimal casualties. Yes, she said finally. Earth Command has given authorization. The operation is approved. Good, Kim said. Captain Park is ready. All ships are prepared. We jump in 4 hours. The communication ended. Hana sat in the darkness of her room and wondered if she had made the right choice. She trusted Admiral Kim, but the plan seemed impossible. Still, humans had done impossible things before. That was why other species feared them. 4 hours later, the combined fleet assembled at the Nexus Gate. Thousands of ships from dozens of species formed a massive wall across space. The human fleet held the left flank. 300 warships painted in Earth colors, blue and white with the symbol of a globe on their hulls. Admiral Kim stood on the bridge of the EDS Indomitable, the flagship of Earth's fleet. Captain Minho Park stood beside him. Park was younger, in his 30s, with quick reflexes and a mind that could process tactical data faster than most computers. He had been Kim's second-in-command for 2 years. They worked well together. "All systems ready, Admiral," Park reported. "The fleet is awaiting your command." Kim looked at the tactical display. The Krithax would arrive in less than 1 hour. The Council fleet was positioned perfectly for a defensive battle. But defense was not what Kim had in mind. "Execute Phase 1, he ordered. Park hesitated for just a moment. Then he nodded and began entering commands. Throughout the human fleet, jump drives powered up. Energy signatures spiked across 300 ships simultaneously. On the Council command ship, alarms started blaring. The Valkyrian admiral in charge stared at his displays in confusion. The human fleet was preparing to jump, but why? The enemy had not even arrived yet. He opened a communication channel to the Indomitable. "Admiral Kim, what are you doing? We need every ship here. The Krithax will be here soon." Kim's face appeared on the screen. He looked calm, almost peaceful. "Trust us," he said simply. Then the channel closed. Before anyone could respond, the entire Earth fleet vanished. 300 ships disappeared from all sensors in the same instant. No warning, no explanation. They were simply gone. The Council chamber erupted in chaos. Ambassador Hana Ro was bombarded with emergency calls. Species representatives demanded answers. Where had the human fleet gone? Why did they abandon the defensive line? Was this a betrayal? Councillor Vrex was the loudest. He stood before the entire council and pointed at Hana with accusation in his eyes. "I knew it," he shouted. "The humans are cowards. They ran away when they sensed danger. They have abandoned us to face the Krithax alone." Other voices joined his. Some species demanded that Earth be expelled from the council. Others suggested that humans had made a secret deal with the Krithax. The accusations flew like arrows. Hana stood silent, taking the verbal assault. She could not tell them the truth, not yet. The plan required secrecy. At the Nexus Gate, the remaining Council fleet prepared for battle without Earth support. Morale was low. The gap on the left flank where human ships had been was now empty and vulnerable. The Valkyrian admiral reorganized his forces, but everyone knew they were weaker now. Much weaker. Then the Krithax arrived. Their fleet emerged from hyperspace like a swarm of metal insects. 10,000 ships, each one bristling with weapons. They formed attack formations and began their advance. The Council fleet opened fire. The battle had begun. The fighting was brutal. Council ships exploded under the Krithax assault. The aliens fought bravely, but they were outnumbered 3-1. The defensive line started to buckle. Ships fell back, trying to regroup. Casualties mounted quickly. Just when it seemed all hope was lost, something strange happened. Sensors on the Council command ship detected a massive energy signature forming in space. It was behind the Krithax fleet. Something huge was emerging from hyperspace. The signature was unlike anything they had ever seen before. The Valkyrian admiral stared at his screen. His hands gripped the armrests of his command chair. "What is that?" he whispered. The energy readings were off the scale. Whatever was coming was massive, and it was appearing right behind the enemy. The entire Council fleet held its breath and waited to see what would emerge from the tear in space. The emergency council session began within the hour. Representatives from every species connected via secure channels. Some joined from warships already mobilizing. Others transmitted from their homeworlds, knowing they might never see them again. The mood was grim but determined. Admiral Kim presented the situation directly. No pleasant words. No false hope. Just facts. The architects know we are planning to attack them. They are accelerating their purge to eliminate potential threats. Earth will be targeted in 72 hours. After that, they will move to other military powers. Thraxa, Velkar, Krithax. Within 2 weeks, every civilization capable of resistance will be gone. The council speaker asked the question everyone was thinking. Can we defend Earth? Kim shook his head. No. Based on what happened to the 17 worlds, defense is impossible. The architects do not invade. They do not bombard. They simply make everyone disappear. We do not know how. We cannot stop it. Our only option is to attack their central hub before they finish purging Earth. 72 hours is not enough time to reach their hub, Councillor Vrex said. Even our fastest ships need 5 days to get there. Professor Junsu Kang appeared on screen. He was a theoretical physicist who worked for Earth's Advanced Research Division. He looked tired but excited. We have been studying the Krythax data on architect technology. We found something interesting. The architects use a form of quantum tunneling for their systems. If we can generate a similar field, we might be able to create an artificial wormhole. It would cut travel time dramatically. Ambassador Hana asked the obvious question. How dramatically? From 5 days to approximately 10 hours, Professor Kang replied. But there are risks. This technology has never been tested at this scale. The wormhole might be unstable. We might lose ships during transit. And we will only get one chance. The energy required will drain our entire fleet's power reserves. 10 hours, Kim said slowly. That gives us 62 hours to prepare the fleet and execute the jump. Then 10 hours of travel. We would arrive at the Architect Hub with minimal power reserves and have to fight immediately. There is no room for error. Commander Yuna Han joined the transmission. She led Earth's Special Operations Division, the same unit that had captured the Krythax homeworld. She was young but had a reputation for completing impossible missions. Sir, my team has been analyzing the architect structure. We found weak points, nodes where their defensive systems connect. If we can capture several nodes simultaneously, we might be able to create openings for our main force. How many nodes? Kim asked. At least 20, Commander Han replied. We would need teams to infiltrate, plant control viruses, and hold position until Professor Kang can upload his reprogramming code. Each team would be isolated, surrounded by architect defenses with no possibility of extraction if things go wrong. The transmission went silent. Everyone understood what that meant. 20 teams, probably 200 soldiers total. All of them would likely die, but their sacrifice might open the door for the main fleet to succeed. I will lead the first team personally, Commander Han said. We have volunteers from Earth forces. We also need volunteers from other species. The architect nodes use different types of technology. We need diverse expertise. Counselor Vrek stood up on his transmission. The Thraxian Empire will provide 5 teams. Our warriors are honored to join this mission. Other species quickly followed. The Valkyrians offered 3 teams. The Krythax, wanting to prove themselves as allies, volunteered 6 teams. Smaller civilizations contributed specialists and technical experts. Within minutes, Commander Han had her 20 infiltration teams plus backup personnel. Kim outlined the complete plan. The United Fleet would gather at a staging point outside Architect sensor range. Professor Kang would create the wormhole. The fleet would jump to the Architect Hub. Infiltration teams would deploy immediately and capture the control nodes. The main fleet would engage the Architect defenses, keeping them distracted. Professor Kang and Dr. Lee would reach the central computer and upload the reprogramming code. Simple in concept, nearly impossible in execution. Ambassador Hana addressed the Council one final time. This plan requires perfect coordination between species that have never worked together before. We will face technology billions of years old. We will be outnumbered and outgunned. But we have something the architects do not understand. We have the ability to choose. We can choose to fight even when logic says we should surrender. That choice is what makes us alive. That choice is why we deserve to survive. The Council voted. The decision was unanimous. Every species committed to the mission. Resources were allocated. Ships were assigned positions. The galaxy was going to war against its oldest enemy. Over the next 60 hours, the largest fleet in recorded history assembled at the staging point. 5,000 warships from 47 species plus the Krythax. Earth contributed 300 vessels, the same number that had vanished at the Nexus Gate. But everyone knew these 300 were just the visible portion of human military power. Nobody asked about Earth's true fleet size anymore. That secret had proven valuable once. It might prove valuable again. Captain Minho Park stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, checking system after system. Around him, the crew worked with quiet efficiency. They knew what was coming. Many of them had families on Earth. If this mission failed, their families would vanish along with their entire planet. Admiral Kim entered the bridge. He looked older than he had just 3 days ago. The weight of command was visible on his face, but his voice was steady when he spoke. Status report, Captain. All systems optimal, Park replied. The fleet is in position. Professor Kang reports the wormhole generator is ready. We can jump on your command. Kim nodded and opened a fleet-wide channel. This is Admiral Taeyang Kim to all ships. In a few moments, we will jump to the Architect Hub. Some of us will not return. That is the reality of this mission. But I want you to know something. Every civilization in this galaxy for billions of years has accepted the architects as inevitable, an unstoppable force, a natural law of the universe. Today, we prove they were wrong. Today, we choose our own fate. All ships, prepare for jump. Professor Kang activated the wormhole generator. Space itself began to tear open in front of the fleet. The opening was massive, large enough for thousands of ships to pass through simultaneously. Energy crackled around its edges. Alarms blared on every ship as the artificial wormhole stabilized. "Execute jump," Kim ordered. 5,000 ships entered the wormhole together. The sensation was unlike normal hyperspace travel. Reality seemed to bend and twist. Time felt wrong. Some crew members reported seeing impossible colors. Others heard sounds that could not exist in vacuum. The journey lasted exactly 10 hours, but it felt both longer and shorter simultaneously. When the fleet emerged, they found themselves facing something beyond comprehension. The Architect Hub was not a single structure. It was an entire solar system converted into a machine. Massive rings circled a dying star. Each ring was the size of a planet. Countless smaller structures moved between the rings like insects. And defending it all was an armada that made the Krythak's invasion force look tiny by comparison. Millions of architect drones, all of them immediately turned toward the incoming fleet. The drones opened fire. Beams of pure energy lanced through space. The first wave hit the Council fleet hard. Ships exploded. Shields overloaded. But the fleet had expected this. They had known the cost would be high. "All ships engage enemy forces," Kim ordered. "Infiltration teams, deploy now." Commander Yunahan and her 20 teams launched in small, fast ships. They scattered in different directions, each heading toward a specific control node. The Architect drones tried to intercept them, but the main fleet drew most of the defensive fire. The infiltration ships were small and hard to track. Most of them made it through the initial defenses. The battle was chaos. Ships from dozens of species fought using completely different tactics and weapons. The Architects responded with cold efficiency, calculating optimal responses to each attack. For every drone destroyed, another took its place. The galaxy's forces were taking terrible casualties. On the Indomitable Bridge, Captain Park monitored the tactical display. "Sir, we are losing ships faster than projected. At this rate, the fleet will be destroyed before the infiltration teams complete their mission." Kim studied the display. His expression was unreadable. "Captain, prepare for Phase 2. Park looked at his admiral in surprise. Phase 2 was not scheduled yet. The infiltration teams needed more time. But then Park saw something on his sensors that made him understand. "Sir, are those?" "Yes," Kim said quietly. "Execute Phase 2. Now Park entered the command codes. Throughout the battlefield, something impossible happened. Every single Earth vessel suddenly vanished from all sensors. All 300 ships. They disappeared exactly as they had at the Nexus Gate. One moment they were there, fighting alongside the Council fleet. The next moment, gone without a trace. The Council forces were stunned. Counselor Vrex, commanding a Thraxian battleship, shouted into his communication system, "The humans!" "They vanished again. Are they abandoning us?" 300,000 warships opened fire simultaneously. The Architect drones, which had been overwhelming the Council fleet moments before, suddenly found themselves surrounded. Human ships attacked from every direction. From above, from below, from positions deep inside the hub that should have been impossible to reach. Vice Admiral Seo-Hyun Yoon commanded the hidden fleet from the EDS Liberator, a massive battleship that had been invisible just seconds ago. Her voice broadcast across all Council channels. "This is Vice Admiral Yoon of Earth Defense Command. All Council forces, reform your lines and continue the assault. We have them now." Counselor Vrex, still trying to process what he was seeing, managed to find his voice. "How? How did you hide so many ships?" Admiral Kim answered from the Indomitable, which had reappeared at the heart of the battle. "We did not hide them recently, Counselor. They have been here for weeks. While the galaxy was preparing for this mission, human stealth vessels were already infiltrating the Architect structure. We mapped their defenses. We found the weak points, and we positioned our real fleet exactly where it needed to be." Ambassador Hana added to the explanation. "The 300 ships at the Nexus Gate were real, but they were never our entire fleet. They were bait, a way to make everyone believe Earth had limited military power. We needed our enemies to underestimate us. And we needed our allies to see us as partners, not threats. The battle's momentum shifted completely. The architect drones, programmed for billions of years to expect predictable attacks, could not adapt to the chaos human tactics created. They tried to recalculate, to form new defensive patterns, but human ships moved unpredictably. They broke formation, regrouped in unexpected places, and attacked from angles that violated conventional military doctrine. Commander Yuna Han and her infiltration teams reached their target nodes. Each team faced fierce resistance from architect security systems, but they had trained for this. Thraxian warriors provided muscle. Human technicians cracked security codes. Felkarian engineers disabled power systems. The teams from different species worked together with surprising efficiency. Han's team reached Control Node Alpha first. She planted Professor Kang's virus program into the system. The virus immediately began spreading through the architect network, creating digital pathways for the main reprogramming code. One by one, other teams reported success. 20 nodes, 20 viruses, 20 openings into the architect's central consciousness. Professor Junsu Kang and Dr. Sujin Lee traveled in a small, heavily shielded ship toward the center of the hub. Their destination was the original control structure, the ancient computer that had managed the extinction cycles for billions of years. Captain Park provided escort with 6 fighters, weaving through debris and weapons fire. The central structure was massive, a sphere of dark metal that seemed to absorb light. Ancient symbols covered its surface, languages from civilizations that had died before Earth's sun was born. Park's fighters cleared a path. Professor Kang's ship docked at an access point that Han's team had identified. Inside, the architecture was alien in ways that hurt to look at. Geometry that did not quite make sense. Corridors that seemed to twist in impossible directions. Dr. Lee led the way, following maps she had constructed from ancient texts. They moved quickly. Time was running out. They found the central computer in a chamber at the heart of the sphere. It was beautiful and terrible. Crystalline structures pulsed with light. Data flowed through quantum pathways at speeds that made human computers seem primitive. This was technology from the galaxy's first civilization, a species so advanced they had tried to control evolution itself. Professor Kang approached carefully. He carried a data core containing the reprogramming code. Years of work. The combined genius of human, Thraxian, and Krythax scientists, code designed not to destroy the architects but to change their purpose. The architects were not evil. They were following their original programming. Protect the galaxy from technological threats, prevent universal heat death by resetting civilization. They believed they were saving the universe. Professor Kang's code would give them a new mission. Protect emerging civilizations, guide instead of destroy, serve instead of purge. He connected the data core to the central computer. The reprogramming began. For 10 seconds, nothing happened. Then the chamber filled with light. The crystalline structures pulsed faster. Data flowed in new patterns. The architect consciousness was evaluating the new code, deciding whether to accept it. Throughout the hub, the battle paused. Every architect drone stopped fighting simultaneously. They floated motionless in space, waiting for instructions from their core system. The council fleet held fire, uncertain what was happening. In the central chamber, Professor Kang watched the computer process his code. Dr. Lee stood beside him, holding her breath. This was the moment that would decide the galaxy's fate. If the architects rejected the new programming, they would activate their purge immediately. Earth would vanish, then every other civilization. The cycle would continue. The light in the chamber changed. It went from harsh white to softer blue. The crystalline structures slowed their pulsing. A voice emerged from the computer. It spoke in a language that had been dead for 3 billion years, but the translation systems converted it to words every species could understand. New directives accepted. The voice was neither male nor female, neither kind nor cruel, simply factual. Original programming was flawed. Creators did not anticipate cooperation between diverse life forms. Purge protocols are no longer optimal, switching to preservation and guidance protocols. The 50,000-year cycle is terminated. Professor Kang allowed himself a small smile. He looked at Dr. Lee. We did it. Dr. Lee nodded, unable to speak. Tears ran down her face. Years of studying extinct civilizations, years of finding warnings in ancient ruins. All of it had led to this moment. The cycle was broken. The galaxy was free. The architect drones throughout the hub began transmitting new signals. Not weapons fire. Communication protocols. Peace offerings. They were sharing technology, knowledge, maps of the galaxy that no living civilization had ever seen. 3 billion years of accumulated data, now available to all species. Admiral Kim broadcast to the entire fleet. All ships cease fire. The mission is complete. The architects are no longer a threat. They are now allies. Prepare for recovery operations and tend to wounded. The Council fleet erupted in celebration. Ships from 47 species plus the Krythax had fought together and won, not through superior weapons, not through overwhelming numbers, but through unity and the willingness to try something that had never been attempted before. Counselor Vrex opened a channel directly to Admiral Kim. His voice was filled with emotion. Admiral, I have questioned your species since the day you joined the Council. I called you cowards when you vanished at the Nexus Gate. I doubted your intentions at every turn. I was a fool. The Thraxian Empire formally requests that Earth take a leadership position in the Reformed Council. You have earned it. Kim bowed his head respectfully. Counselor, humanity does not seek to lead. We seek to cooperate. That has always been our goal. But we will gladly share what we have learned about strategy and adaptation. 3 weeks later, the Council convened in the Architect Hub itself. The massive structure had been transformed from a weapon into a monument, a symbol of what could be achieved through cooperation. Representatives from every species gathered in the central chamber where Professor Kang had uploaded the new code. Ambassador Hana Ro stood before them. She had been nominated to lead the new galactic government. Many species supported her nomination. Even those who had once distrusted humans now recognized that Earth had saved them all. Admiral Kim also addressed the assembly. He revealed the truth that had been kept secret until now. Why had Earth concealed its true fleet size? Why had they allowed others to think they were weak? Because power that is displayed is power that is limited, Kim explained. If we had shown our full strength from the beginning, other species would have feared us. They would have formed alliances against us. We would have been isolated. Instead, by appearing weaker than we were, we could observe. We could identify which civilizations valued honor and cooperation, which ones would abandon allies when danger appeared. The vanishing fleet was always going to return. But first, we needed to know which species deserved our trust. Counselor Vrex stood and spoke. He admitted that Thraxians had debated abandoning the Nexus Gate when the humans disappeared. They had considered retreating to defend their own territory, but they had chosen to stay and fight. That choice, made in Earth's absence, had proven their character. Many species made similar admissions. Some had considered fleeing. Others had debated negotiating with the Krythax, but most had stayed. Most had chosen to fight even when the odds seemed impossible. Those were the species Earth wanted as true allies. The Council voted on the new galactic structure. Humanity would not rule, but they would advise. Earth's strategic thinking would be shared with all species. The architect technology would be distributed fairly, and most importantly, the galaxy would remain united. No longer a collection of separate civilizations, but a true alliance.